You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Girl called Lois Winstone, and her dad is, I've known her since we're about 3 years old, and her dad is Ray Winstone, who plays Beowulf. Have you seen the movie?
So is he just born to be badass?
He's born to be fucking badass. Yeah, I've known him since I was a kid. Yeah, he's Beowulf, man. When I've been around the house and he's got the figures, like the little Beowulf figures everywhere. He is Beowulf. Check him out in the movie Beowulf.
Well, for our audience, I hit record when you were talking, but Dean, this is Dean Sharp, everybody. So, Dean, tell me a little bit about yourself and if you want what you do professionally.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my name's Dean Sharp. Firstly, I'm a musician. That's what I've done my whole life. That's kind of how I make my money at the minute. I played in various different bands. I've had different contracts, all that kind of shit. At the minute, I'm doing a lot of covers band, playing in a covers act. So we basically play all the clubs around the West End in London here. Um, but I was in a band with, I was just talking about Ray Winston, his daughter Lois. We were in a band. We were signed to a label out in New York, so we were due to come over and do like a North American tour and all that kind of stuff. But then the band kind of, as soon as I got my visa approved, the band split up. So I'm still yet to travel over to the US. But so that's kind of my job. But then I guess what we'll probably talk most about is the sideline business that I've started up, which is the Dean of the Dead horror
Hot sauce.
hot sauce thing, which is I think how we the link through Justin. I think you know Justin
Yeah,
Harmon.
shout out to Harmon Heat out there doing all the spicy challenges and creating hot sauce flavors that are have a weird twist on my name as well.
Oh right,
Yeah, he calls it Robbie's Rectum Ravisher. I mean, if that's not a name it's a good one, I'll tell you that. I mean,
brilliant.
but like even when we're talking about like even the hot sauce thing too, what's with the horror aspect of it all? Because I always talk about how hot sauce is always linked to like demonology and fire, and there's
Oh
nothing like
wow.
baby's angel soft hot sauce. Like there's nothing that it's always got to be like liquid devil's dick. I'm like, hang on a second, that sounds very intimidating, I would say.
I've got one called Arse Reaper, which has got which is like which is a you've got the hot sauce and then you've got like the Grim Reaper with like a skull. I'm sure this it's quite a popular one actually. You might have seen it, but yeah, and it's got like the grim, basically the Grim Reaper on the top of the bottle, like a little figurine that comes with it. It's brilliant. I don't want to open the bottle because it looks so good.
I mean, your marketing's great to like the most audience, I would say, that tries hot sauce, but elderly people are staying the hell away from that one. They're clutching their Bibles and their butterscotch candies, not wanting to be involved in that sucker.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, even with hot sauce, it's always about like death or it's about this type of styling too. But that's the giant part of it. It's advertising. What makes people grab the bottle is when it looks badass, or it's
Yeah.
just completely blank to where
Yeah.
there's nothing on it and there's like one word that just says death. And you're like, that's got to be something from like China that's killed 20,000 people and still going today.
Wonder if anyone's going to do a coronavirus sauce. I don't know if it's.
Let's just make it green and it like I guess it just tastes like toilet paper because that's the only thing I can't buy in the fucking store.
Oh mate, I think that's a worldwide problem. That one, and there's people fighting over it here.
I look at them, I'm like, there's some people out here that have an intestinal disease and actually need that. And then next thing you know, you got people like, I'm just gonna keep stocking up. So if we ever run out, I'm like, if a apocalypse does
Uh,
happen, you
yeah,
don't need toilet paper. You don't. You shit in the toilet. You don't even need a flush. Move on to the next house.
exactly. Well, we live in the countryside. There's plenty of trees with big leaves on them, so we could just fucking use them.
I don't recommend that. I did that when I went camping as a
Some of
kid.
them are stinging nettles, actually. So yeah, maybe not.
I saw it on TV and I did it as a kid. I wiped my ass with a very, very rough leaf, and it turned out it was poison ivy, and I did not have a very good couple days afterwards.
Oh shit. Okay, maybe that is that how you got your intestinal thingy. Maybe that's where it came from.
That was a long time ago. I think the other factors play into the fact that I don't know. I eat a lot of raw vegetables. I always blame it on the cabbage because, like, people are like, you should chop that up, slice it. I'm like, don't tell me how to live my life.
Oh.
I'm gonna eat giant chunks of this steak. What do you mean you cut your steak before you eat it? I just shove the whole thing in my mouth and try and swallow it. Next thing you know, you're on the floor. Someone's trying to resuscitate you.
Mhm. Yeah, man. Well, so we're talking about the names of hot sauces and the horror aspects, all that kind of stuff. And also how it's like you were saying, so you got your ass reapers and you've got your this, that, and the other, your devil's dick, whatever it's called.
Literally.
So yeah, so I've kind of basically I've kind of taken a bit of a twist. So I'll go back to the beginning. So love my hot food, love my horror. I went to a chili festival probably about 4 years ago, and just kind of it was like a 3 day festival. They had like musicians there, they had comedians, all kinds of shit going on, and it was great fun. A really nice hot sunny day, and I was like, this is great, man, and I'm really enjoying this. We went back. It was like a 3-4 day event. We went back again the next day, and I was like, I really want to give this a go. I want to kind of create my own sauce, and then like again, saying about the artistic side of the creative side of things, how you get some really cool looking labels on the bottles and everything. And I love that whole aspect of it as well. So I was thinking, I married the two ideas together. My passion for horror, my passion for like hot sauce, put the two ideas together and come up with this kind of Dean of the Dead whole universe, where all the sauces are kind of named after movies. So you've got like, for example, you've got Sauce. So like with the film Saw and Sauce. You got like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's a good one.
Um,
That's a good play on words.
and Naga Mare on Elm Street. You got like the Naga chili, so you got the Naga Mare on Elm Street.
Oh, you're a clever little bird. Holy crap. That's some good names for sauces, dude.
They keep coming. There's six in total at the minute, and then basically there's the Naga Mare on Elm Street. You've got the what's the one after that? You've got the Periscoval Activity, so with the Scovels. You've got
Damn, son.
Jeepers Reapers, and then you've got the Exorcist. That's the six that I've got in the range at the minute.
You're like Eminem, but with hot sauces.
Exactly. No one's ever said that before. I'm taking that and I'm using that.
You should
Right.
run with it. He's the only man I've seen in a video that has literally rhymed with the word orange. He goes, all you got to do is morph your words and say orange, door hinge. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're a god.
I think he's probably the only rapper that's used mum's spaghetti as well, isn't he? Over to mum's spaghetti.
Mom's spaghetti. Arms are sweaty.
Spaghetti, palms are sweaty.
There's gravy on my leg already. Well, I mean, like, even with the horror factor. So, what's your favorite horror film?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I'd probably say Nightmare on Elm Street. I think is my favorite. That's got to be the top. I love Aliens too. Some people might say that's not fucking horror, sci-fi. I was gonna say sci-fi, but I guess
Depends. I've seen Alien versus Predator, and I can guarantee you that that's a scary fucking film if you're 14 years old watching it. When you watch an alien burst out of a pregnant woman's stomach,
that's
that'll give you nightmares.
that's horror. I'd say that's horror, definitely. Yeah. So I'd say that's a timeless movie. Nightmare. I was about to say Nightmare on Elm Street. I keep referring to the films as the sources now, so that's how good the names are.
You gotta tell the directors to change the name of it.
Exactly. Imagine that. And you could, instead of Freddy's glove, he's got like hot sauce bottles on the end, and he shoves that up your ass, and that's
Pure
woo.
death. It burns on the inside as well.
That's a fucking. Do you know what? That's actually a really good idea for a spoof movie. I think
This is
come
going to
up
be
with
a
that.
brainstorming event of just random ideas for things. I mean, the twist you can take on words too. I mean, like we were saying, Nightmare on Elm Street. Which one are we talking about here? Talking about the newest version because that's the one I saw, which I really enjoyed.
I like that one. That got slated. That one. Not people that. I mean, I don't know if it did over in the US. I think it did everywhere. Actually, everyone.
People said it sucked, but I was like, it was actually pretty good. I mean,
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
the story was like a good twist at the ending too. But like a lot of really good horror films I like get shit on constantly, and I'm like, why? Like everyone always craps on this one called The Happening with M. Night Shyamalan. I'm like,
Yeah, with Mark Wahlberg, right?
that's happening right now, literally. It's
Yes.
like it,
I said this the other day. I
people
said
are
this the other day.
people are like, The Happening's terrible. I'm like, this coronavirus thing, now they're saying it's airborne. I'm like, guess what? It's the plants. They're like, you guys are assholes. I'm gonna clean slate all you bitches. Except now we're just not killing I guess ourselves. We're just dying from an internal illness.
Do you know, it's so funny you should say mention that happening because no one ever talks about that film. And you know, where I live in the countryside, and we walked out the other day, and it's pretty windy here at the minute. And I said to my girlfriend, I was like, "This is like the happening," you know, because it's you know this it's like the fucking apocalypse, and there's no one around, the trees and the winds blowing, and I'm like, this is virus thing going around. This is like the happening, and then you just mentioned it as well. So
You got to look when someone starts trying to lie in front of a lawnmower, and you're just like, all right, this is where we need to find another town or stay away from people.
yeah, exactly,
Now,
exactly.
what would you consider, I guess, when it comes to horror movies, is the part you really like the most? Because where I mentioned I have a bit of a issue with horror films is the crap that you see on TV now. It's a lot of jump scares. I'm
Hmm.
not a giant fan of that anymore. I'm a giant fan of like one that gives you a story. And sometimes like a good horror film, which you could probably agree to, is one that scares you without even ever introducing the monster. Like everything nowadays plays on special effects, plays on CGI, plays on showing you this big bad. It's cool, but Signs, my all-time favorite scary movie, didn't show you shit.
You must be a big fan of. I never know how to say his name. Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. Hannah. Yeah, yeah, that dude.
Shyamalan.
That guy.
Sounds like you're choking on hot sauce.
Shout out last night's. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, that's a good movie too. Signs is a good movie too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm jump scares. I do. I'm a big wuss. I love being scared. I'm the kind of guy that runs through the scare mazes with my fingers in my ears because when people jump out at me, it's just that scares me. Jump scare. I sit in the cinema with my fingers in my ears. I love being scared. I love it. But I know what you mean about jump scares. They're not actually that scary. They are just it's just a big loud noise. You know, if a firework went off next to you, that'd fucking make you jump. So I mean, that's not horror. That's just something that just makes you jump.
Yeah, it's like if you play what do you call it? Slender Man or Five Nights at Freddy's, these like scary video games,
Yeah.
they capitalize on all the ambient sounds behind it and all this pressure. You pick up a page when you're playing Slender Man, next thing you know, you hear the creepy music start, and the next
Uh
thing you know,
huh.
it's like somebody's following you. So it's the whole buildup of that.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, what really scares me, anything supernatural really freaks me out. That really scares me. I love again. I nearly said paranormal activity series. I thought, especially the first one, I thought that was really good. And things that you can't see or things where you have to use your imagination. Um, Things like the Babadook, oh, that was really good. But then I think it's when you sort of get to the end and then you kind of see this big CGI kind of weird creature thingy, then it kind of starts losing it a little bit for me.
Well,
Uh,
sometimes like a good horror movie, like they put so much into the monster, so much into the thing, and then they totally forget
mm,
about the actual story of it, just trying to show like crazy death scenes, which I mean, it's entertaining and all, but like when I go to a movie theater, like I remember I went to go see the last movie and it's an M. Night Shyamalan flick, The Visit, the one with the grandparents where
that
they
was
were
good.
like,
Yeah, that's on Netflix at the minute. That's good. That yeah, I like.
everybody was freaking out, like, oh, like just crying because all these scary things. And then what I wasn't scared. I was just looking around at like people that were like in their 40s and like cuddled up to each other like they're kids. And I'm like looking, I'm like, this isn't scary. Then I found out that the parents were mentally insane and they weren't actually the grandparents. And I'm like, now I'm scared because
Yeah,
mental health is a real big thing that scares the shit out of
yeah, definitely, definitely. I think I tell you what else scares me as well, and is old ladies. I find old ladies really creepy, and especially the old lady in that film when she strips off naked and she starts running around. It's like crawling around under the house and stuff like that. That was pretty freaky.
me. You know what
Like
they
the
say
scene
about
in.
old people?
Hmm?
You know what they say about old people?
What do they say about old
The
people?
reason why their skin sags so low, because it's death. They're trying to bring them down to the underworld.
Wow.
Yeah. I mentioned that to my
Wow.
grandma. She doesn't get too happy about
That's deep. It's where she keeps trying to sort of
it.
herself up as like
Just
this.
stick those laundry clips behind the back of your head to try and suck your skin back.
Like I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
But I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
even with Jaws too, like that is my. If you're gonna tell me a movie, that's a movie I really want to see. I love watching it. I mean, the fact we're gonna need a bigger
Watched that
boat.
yesterday. We watched that yesterday on Netflix, man.
the freaking song behind it. Like the whole thing was like they're just building up to this thing that is a could be a real possibility of getting killed by a shark, but it's probably not likely going to happen. But it scared the shit of people from ever going into oceans. I watched it in a pool in a inner tube at like midnight on a giant flat screen projected thing, and
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been so scared of in 3 feet of water. Like I've literally thought I was going to die.
We went to we've got a place called Sea Life here in London, up near Big Ben. Sea Life. I think there's a few. You guys have probably got some great ones over there. Um, and we went there a couple of weeks ago before all this Corona bullshit, and they've got a big shark tank there. And sharks are another thing that scared me. Old people, old women, ghosts, and sharks. I mean, I think if they made a film that had all those three mixed together, I think I'd probably die.
So like a Sharknado mix.
Sharknado, yeah.
That's the name of your sauce right there. Sharknado.
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 Oh, Sharknado. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, man.
Do you have that in the UK? Because I experience that probably on a daily basis.
Sharts. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What, the word shart or actual sharting?
Actual sharting.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. I mean, not me personally. If I was to do such a thing, I'd probably keep it up
I don't
to
trust
myself.
anybody that hasn't sharded themselves before.
I mean, yeah. I mean, anyway, there is a few. There has been quite a few sharting casualties that I've known of. Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. Sharknado.
I'm literally sitting here trying to think of like amazing movie twist combinations I can do with hot sauce just to give you as ideas now. But when it comes
Dude,
to your
fire
favorite
on me.
when it comes to your favorite movies though, like what do you find like in horror, like what do you find makes a good one and makes a really bad one? I know you have your things that kind of scare you a little bit, but like when we're talking about the industry nowadays, it just seems like everybody's got a template for the same idea of what works to scare you. And there's you don't see anything that really has a unique story behind it. Like Bird Box really pissed me off.
Do you know what? I haven't seen that actually. I call myself a horror fan. I haven't seen that all the way through. I've kind of dipped in and out of it. I'll sort of put it on, and then perhaps I've been a little bit too
It's
stoned, I've fallen asleep.
good. It's a lot like The Happening, maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes, but then everyone stops killing themselves and it just becomes like we got to run. We got to keep our eyes closed. We got to not, check. It's just that anticipation of like, you have the curiosity to look under the blindfold and see what the monster is, but if you do, you die. And I'm like, well, this isn't fun for me because all I'm hearing is the breeze move.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen. As I say, I haven't actually seen this one, but I like the idea. I like the whole idea of like if you peek out the blindfold, then you die, kind of thing.
What happens if you see
I
through the
can't really comment on
blindfold?
that. I haven't seen it. Which one? What one second?
I say, what happens if you see through the blindfold, though? Like, I tell you, anytime I've been blindfolded to play pin the tail on the donkey, it was like you could still see where you're going. The guy's like, you get it every time. I was like, I don't know. I'm just good.
Wow. What makes a good horror? Ah, man, I don't know. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. Definitely, I mean, a good storyline. I think originality, but then that's hard these days. There's so many reboots. People are rebooting everything. Um, I don't know, Richard. It's hard to be original. It's the same with music. It's hard to be original because every style, or well, I mean, it seems like every style that has been done, every genre has been kind of made. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult to find something that I
Well, we
think.
know a director's name, we know an actor we like, and that's what's going to decide if the movie is something we're going to see. I
Mm,
have been to the movie theaters and I've seen advertisements for a very, very popular horror flick that has been completely trash. But then I go to the ones that aren't getting any advertisements.
yeah,
Why haven't I seen this one on TV? And then I go in
like
there
the
and I'm
sleeper
completely
hits.
freaking shocked.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like, I like the ones. That's why I like going to a lot of independent, like horror festivals. They do one over here called Fright Fest every around August time, where they play like a load of basically films that don't have like big actor names, big director names. There's a lot of kind of films that end up becoming like sleeper hits, things that you might not have heard about, and you watch it, and you're like, wow, that was fucking awesome. Where did that come from? Those sort of ones. I think things like Wreck when that came. I also like a lot of European horror. Do you remember Wreck? Did you ever see Wreck?
Yeah.
Which when that came out, that was brilliant. I can't think, man. I'm
I
on the
just
spot.
miss the
I think there's too
classics,
many.
dude.
There's so
Like,
many.
I remember being a little kid and my mom telling me to go to bed because my mom and my dad, when I was like 5 years old, was gonna watch. No, maybe probably four. They were gonna watch Chucky. And I remember I went back to my room. I had a Chucky doll and I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sneak around the corner and fake go to bed, whatever. So I'm like a
yeah.
little kid and I peek around the corner, I'm watching and I saw what the doll was. The next day I threw that fucker out the window. My
That was
mom's like,
another.
why is Chucky laying on the lawn? I'm like, I know what she did. I know what she did. That's sick.
Chucky tried to kill me in my sleep. That's another thing that used to freak me out as well. And I think this is especially when you're younger, is anything like that, like dolls, puppets, anything like that. I think I used to I had a really it was a nightmare about Kermit the Frog once. Fuck knows why. And I woke up and I was just sitting. I was a kid, but I remember it because I remember sort of waking up and sitting on the landing. We lived in his flats at the time. My mum was in bed, and I thought I don't want to go and wake him up. So I was sitting on the landing in the dark, just thinking, "Fuck, Kermit's gonna get me, man." I was
Fucking, I'm
freaking
Kermit
out
the
about Kermit
Frog.
the Frog.
I'm
I can't.
Kermit the Frog coming to kill you, Dean. It's crazy is because I know why you hate old people now. Because every old person in their house probably has dolls that sit on their shelf or glass
Yeah,
figurines, and in every horror movies, those things fucking turn their head to you.
yeah.
I slept at my grandmom's house, who I didn't find out was lesbian until I was like 20 something. I can't believe I ignored all the signs. I thought it was her roommate, but I guess not. But I remember staying in the guest room and all these figurines were lined up on the thing. I could not fucking sleep because I swear to God, every time I like opened up my eyes and looked over, they were just their heads would be staring right at me, and I'm like, I would turn them all
Your
around.
eyes follow you.
I guarantee you, she's probably messing with me. She's probably turning them back when I go to the bathroom or something.
Their eyes follow you as well. They actually do follow you. If you've anywhere you stay, you can stand in that corner, you can move to that corner, and that those eyes will follow you. Yeah. They're alive. I'm telling you, man. They're alive.
Like if we talk about scary, like what do you call it, paintings or something, like
Mhm.
they're only scary if the dude's clothed. Like if you have a naked guy and the eyes follow you, you're just like, you sick bastard. Like you're not even like, it just turns it into humor. You know how you say if you get scared, just picture the audience in their underwear or something.
Yeah. Like that one in Ghostbusters. Remember Ghostbusters? That big picture of that dude. He was scary. That was a scary painting.
I thought Ghostbusters was scary on the basis of like they just had shit pop out at you. Like it was that was like, you open up a door, next thing you know, there's a giant monster in there and the dude shuts the door. It's like supposed to be comedic, but it's supposed to be like a type of scary thing too.
A bit in the library. That first scene in the library, I think the very first ghost that you see in the first Ghostbusters as well, where the ghost kind of turns around and goes shh, tells them to be quiet, and then they creep up and it just goes. Ah, that used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid as well.
You know what scared me is like I before I saw Ghostbusters, I saw Scary Movie 2. So I kind of ruined myself for Ghostbusters basically because it was like a parody of that and the haunted house or haunted mansion with Eddie Murphy. But what scared the shit out of me was the guy with the messed up hand and then he stuck it in the mashed potatoes to mix it up and
Yes.
everyone wouldn't eat that scared the shit out of me. I was like, "Oh no."
See, I remember when Ghostbusters. I'm probably like twice your age, so I remember like when Ghostbusters first came out. When was it? Like 80s in the 80s, something. Well, I was a kid when it came out, basically. So like, and it was, I was born in '79. So like, I was a kid during the '80s, and then kind of became a teenager halfway through the '90s. So CGI wasn't really a thing way back then. So I've kind of grown up with all these puppets and all this kind of that kind of horror. Um, and for the record, I don't hate old people. They just scare me.
Scare and hate, they could be the same thing. No, but
True.
when it comes to like even the good movies that come out now, I like the ones like Would You Rather type movies, like the kind of the Saw basis of things. Like you like
Yeah,
trying to see somebody trying to overcome a challenge or get out of something knowing that they're probably not going to do it. Like
yeah,
a
yeah. I really
torture
like that.
aspect. You
I
know,
kind of like that film. I thought that was good, man. I enjoyed that.
I like that Would You Rather one, like, I forgot what part it was, but the dude was like, "You can either choose to stab this lady in the leg or blow up an M80 in your hand." And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
sticks it in his hand, and it's the dude from Trailer Park Boys, he's just holding it,
yeah.
and then the fuse goes down, and I'm like, "This is my fucking nightmare."
And
Like,
then he has the heart attack. Yeah.
yeah, but that movie that scared the shit out of me that got me to that point of being scared of that happening
Yeah.
was the movie with Ashton Kutcher, where he took a bunch of fireworks and tried to blow them up in a mailbox and blew his arms completely off.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
that stuff, even though they're not meant to be a scary story, but it's supposed to be like a sad movie, that scares the crap out of me because I know the realistic part of those actions.
Yeah. The bit, I think for me, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And the fact that you can't get out of it, you're kind of trapped in that situation, and there's nothing you can do. You got a big dude with a gun standing behind you. There's another dude with a gun over there. You're fucked, basically. That you have to make that decision. Yeah.
Well, even we're talking
Um,
about like an alien movie too, The Circle. That one where they're all a bunch of people sitting in a ring and every 30 seconds someone dies and you have to vote on who's dying. So it's like who wants to be a millionaire with death? Except there's no Regis, so it's not fun.
Again, I haven't seen it. I've seen bits of it. That's with the reds, all the little red dots, isn't it? The red they stand on like the red.
Yeah.
Seen that one. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
That shows the primalistic aspect of people where they're just going to be selfish and try and keep themselves alive. So next thing you know, people are dying one by one. And at one point, it was like a pregnant woman left, and everyone's like, "Well, you're not going to choose the pregnant woman." No,
Mm.
everybody chose the pregnant woman, and she counted as two deaths.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that shit was like intense. I was like, this shows people and what they will do when it comes down to it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a bit like all these people snapping up all the TP when people fucking need that shit.
But what do you even call it? Dude, what we're experiencing now with the virus thing going on and how people are acting in stores. I mentioned it the other day. Two things. One, we've been trained on this since we were children. Was the fact that cooties, you want to stay away from everybody. Two is I Am Legend. That movie was prep for what is happening right now. People are going to start getting a cure. Next thing you know, they turn into zombies, and then it's just going to be one dude left and a dog. Except if I'm that dude left and I have a dog, we're not going fucking outside. I'm getting a storage thing of beef jerky. Nobody's ever dying.
True. What's it like there in the States right now? Are you guys on complete lockdown?
Yeah, we're supposed to be, but I still go outside. The guy's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Where I want." You're gonna lock me to my house? No, thank you. I don't really. I have freedom for a reason. But like, you're supposed to be not spreading the virus. I'm like, I'm not sick. I'm staying in my car. I'm not touching anything except
Yeah.
myself inside my car.
They like shut all the bars and they've shut everything apart from food stores and stuff like that.
They left takeout and all the major giant grocery stores open, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then now car places are still open because that's essential business. That doesn't
Car
make any
places?
sense. If your car goes up, guess what? Ride a fucking bike.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
know.
in like what? As in like car showroom kind of place? What?
Like car dealers, like people that are selling
Mm,
cars, the ownerships are allowed to stay open because technically, what happens if your car breaks down? You need to get a car. It's like when a car hasn't broken down for a long time, and if it does, it's mostly a gas issue. So gas stations should stay open.
yeah.
Superstores like Walmart should definitely close because that's where everyone's getting infected. I mean, our numbers have gone up like 10 in like the past week and a half. And I'm like, at this point, I'm literally when I go to the store coughing so people just get the fuck out of my way.
We've got they put tape on the floor everywhere, like a couple of meters apart. So you literally, if you walk into a supermarket, you have to so everything's kind of boxed off. So you have to stand in that box. And if there's someone in the box next to you, you can't move into that box until they move on. So it's like a computer game. It's really weird. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're in your little box and so basically you can't go out of that zone.
I say it's a conspiracy theory. I've been thinking about it a little bit. I'm not a giant conspiracy theorist, but I'm always entertaining the idea. Imagine if it's just a way for all small businesses to be shut down and be bought by major corporations, like when Netflix bought Blockbuster and just completely shut them out.
Mm. I've heard so many different people. To be honest, I've had people send me all kinds of different things on conspiracy theories. I don't really follow any of that shit, to be honest. I just think it is quite possible that there is something going on that we don't know about. But I'd rather not know, man. Ignorance is bliss. I'll just put my head down.
I talked for so long about I had a person on that did the stock market and was like a stocking broker or marketing person, and I was like, I bet the one safe stock to buy is toilet paper because it never goes down and it never goes up. Now it's probably in an all-time high right now with the fact that they can barely stock the shelf before someone grabs it.
Yeah.
Corona stock definitely dropped. No one's buying that beer just on the essential aspect of like, this might give me Corona. Corona guys are probably like in the marketing thing, like in the business and like their CEO headquarters or whatever, probably sitting there like, fuck, we got to change our name to like, I don't know, Hostess or something.
Mm,
You
I
never
don't know.
know. There's no answer to it, Dean. It's just kind of like, this is life. This is where we're going. You get to see people really try and truly care. You look, you got TP and you're showing it off. That's amazing. Thanks, man.
It's just because we went for a walk and I got a bit of a snotty nose. It's quite cold out there, so I just had this.
You sure you're not coming down with Corona?
No,
I'm walking in Walmart. I hear people
wait it
cough.
out of my system.
I hear coughing and sneezing at Walmart, and all I think in my head is shotgun shells, like that whole thing. Like, just take them out back. Just do it,
Like a wounded horse.
old
So,
Yeller style, man. Do you find that horror is like it's always kind of like the common thing too? But I feel like a good one is one that really tries to engage into a story. I mean, yeah, I know you're talking about like the characters and the whole aspect of being grim and gruesome, but I like one that has a twist that kind of blindsides you a little bit.
yeah. Say again. What is that?
A horror film that blindsides you a bit. Like it makes you lead one way and then completely hits you with like a reversal. Like I've seen some where like for instance, the new Nightmare on Elm Street that came out. At
Yeah,
the ending, they think they
yeah.
beat Freddy Krueger. Next thing you know, he comes through the window and stabs the mom in the eyes. And I'm like, whoa, was not expecting that one.
Like a twist, like a twist at the end, basically. Like a yeah. Man, I'm no good at thinking of movies on the spot. I'm trying to think of a decent. I've watched so many movies recently. I've just got like all this kind of.
Like Piranha was a terrible one. I mean, I stayed away from any lake, river, or water park when it came out. But I mean, like, that's just because like they capitalized on the aspect of it's gonna eat everything but your dick. That's what they showed in the movie.
What do you think of? What do you make of Rob Zombie movies?
Dude, okay, I was 14 years old at a bike shop. I used to hang out there all the time. There was a guy named Michael Layfield. The bike shop's still open. Shout out to Michael Layfield. But he introduced me to a couple of major films. One, Scarface, old VHS tapes he had playing in the bike shop. Nobody would come in. We'd just be fixing bikes and watching these movies. He goes, "Have you ever heard of Rob Zombie?" I said, "Yeah, the guitar guy, the singer, right?" And he goes, "Yeah. But have you ever seen his movies?" I'm like, "What movie?" He goes, "Watch this. He places in a House of a Thousand Corpses.
I
You want to
love that.
scare the shit out of a kid, you play House of a Thousand Corpses and watch a guy grab a girl's dad's face, put it on his face, and go, 'Who's your daddy?' Arr."
Or the Fish Boy when he turns the guy into a fish, like half man, half fish.
Man,
I love that
everyone
film,
get
man. That film is a complete labor of love for Rob Zombie. You can tell he was such a because I'm a big Rob Zombie fan. I love Rob Zombie. I love his music. I love his movies.
what'd you think of the new Halloween?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of a different spin on the story.
You
Slightly
should
different.
listen to his interview on Joe Rogan. He talks about the movie because a lot of people shit on it that it was like terrible and it was all Rob Zombie's
I think
fault.
didn't even John Carpenter. I think even he kind of laid into him. I think that was. I'm not. I don't think he was a big fan of
And
it.
he came out and said on the podcast with Joe Rogan, he's like, I didn't really have a whole lot of free roam to do what I wanted when I wanted to do this movie. He goes, they gave me a basis and told me I couldn't work off of it. I'm like, it's like, if you want me to be involved in it and you're just paying for my name, basically, you're paying for me to co-sign on the thing. And it gave him shit for it because it didn't do well.
I thought it was good, man. I enjoyed it. I thought it had. He's got his own style. He's quite. He's like there's a lot of ultra violence and stuff like that. He's obviously a big Clockwork Orange fan. And, there's I don't know. I really liked it. I think he kind of lost his way a little bit. I think it all became a little bit too like style over substance. When Lords of Salem. Yeah. Really well shot movie. Good idea, but it just kind of is a little bit too arty for me. It kind of went in that direction, but then like there was like 31. I don't know if you've seen 31.
No,
Great movie. Do you remember The Running Man? Do you remember the film The Running Man? Schwarzenegger.
think so.
Awesome film. Written by I think. So it was written by. It says it's written by Richard Stephen King, which is actually his alter ego. So basically Stephen King wrote it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, film in the 80s, Running Man. Excellent. They're way, way ahead of his time. Awesome film. So 31 is kind of Rob Zombie's version of that. with a lot more, much more violent, a lot of ultra violence. Again, of course, he uses his wife as the main central character, which is not very popular with a lot of horror fans. I mean, she's all right. She's pretty cool. But yeah, really, 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 really great movie. I love that one. But it could have been better. I think again, he was kind of getting to the sort of. I think when he started off with House of a Thousand Corpses, that was a complete labor of love. That film, like he most of the props in the film are just stuff taken out of his house. He's just set up, different sets with basically all the fucking ornaments off of his shelves and stuff like that. So it's
Well,
just,
it's breaking the barrier, I think, on what we would call society accepted, which is like you can show somebody getting their head cut off, you can show somebody getting stabbed, you can show somebody doing whatever to whatever. You can have a freaking piranha bite a dude to where his dick is just the only thing left floating in the water. But if you start doing things that you would see in a carnival act or a show or something that like it's too scary because it's freaky, it's freak. That's what we call it. That's what Rob Zombie's whole capitalistic thing was the fish boy, the whole carny aspect, the
mm,
clown, rest in
yeah,
peace to the rest in peace, obviously. But like
Haig, man, yeah.
it's crazy because like a good movie, what do you call it? Oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna blank on this movie. It's the guy that plays Hellboy was in it. It was like a demon.
You've got. I've met both of them dudes, man. I go to a lot of conventions. I trade with the sources at a lot of conventions, so we
You
meet
met
a lot.
Hellboy?
I've met both of them. I've met David Harbour and Ron Perlman.
Ron
Yeah.
Perlman is like my all-time favorite. I mean, Hellboy's probably a lot of people don't know, but my all-time favorite movie. Just like I love that scene. I mean, I was listening to that song when they were playing. God, I can't believe I'm gonna blank on this song too, man. It's too early for this shit. Jesus. It's the ones can't smile without you.
Yeah, I know the song, but I don't know. It's too early here as well. I can't think. I'm pretty. Sometimes on the spot, I'm not very good with titles and stuff like
Well,
that.
like
But yeah, I know
Pets,
that.
Pet Cemetery,
Yes, the
the
remake,
original
the
one,
original.
the original.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw that when I was like 12 or 13. I've never cried over a kid dying before, but that was some emotional shit. I mean, I used to torment my brother with he used to be afraid of the girl that was dying from I guess like some type of disease in the bed and the lady just watched her die. She was like all blue and she was at
Yeah,
the end of the bed like like gasping
yeah.
like that. So I would sneak into my brother's room while he was sleeping and do that noise and he would get scared shitless. And he's 4 years older than me, so he's like 16 and he's like, "Dad, dad." And I'm just like crawling on the ground like the Grudge. I'd have like long hair and I'd have it laying in front of my face or something and make the clicking noises. Like that shit scares the hell out of me.
I used to that the sister in that film. I think her name's Is it Zelda? The sister. She's in the bed and she's got something wrong with her. She's all super skinny, and then
Yeah.
she keeps going into the room and she sits up. She's like, Rachel, Rachel.
Give your grandma butterscotch candy.
She looks like an old woman again. See, they've done her up to look like an old woman. Scary,
That's why it
creepy.
scares you, man. I'm telling you. Old people scare me sometimes. I've been in a retirement home. You can legit smell the death in the air.
They should make a film. That's it. I don't think that's been done yet. They should make a horror film in a retirement home. It's
Just
just full
a
of old
documentary.
women.
It doesn't even need to be a horror film. It's just a documentary, just watching people like retell the same old story again and again and again, like you're in the fucking Matrix.
That would be terrifying, man.
I had an idea for a movie with a horror, or actually a film enthusiast. His name's Nick Manasatois, but you should check out. It's episode 200. We called it Blank Slate, but I had an idea for a twist on a horror film. So throughout this podcast, we're creating a horror film, and I
Mhm.
said, imagine if you like started off with like this kid who didn't understand emotion, didn't have love, didn't have hate, didn't have anything, didn't understand revenge or anything.
Like a
That
bit
just
like
was
a
like
Terminator.
yeah, a bit of emotionless kid. And
Mhm.
somebody dared him to do something to a car of a person that was very like a dick in a store. They were gonna like, trash his car or something, but instead the kid placed something on one of his tires. So that didn't take off right away. But the dude goes to pull into traffic and the tire blows out and it's the kid's fault. And the guy ends up killing piles up an incident, killing like 4 or 5 people. So these kids have to keep a secret. Next thing you know, like the friends start noticing as the kid's getting older, a few years spacing out, that the kid he doesn't think properly. He doesn't understand actions. He ends up killing his father Just like he just sits there and his dad does something, and next thing you know, like his dad's fighting him or something and pushing him, and the kid just like grabs a bottle, doesn't even think, and just slams it up against his dad's head and just looks at the body and staring at it. And his friend sees it into the window, and then that kid ends up later down the road, like 10 years later, he loses all of his friends, but the one he still thinks is his best friend or supposed to be his best friend, he doesn't know how he feels towards him. He just looks at him like,
Does he have a best friend? Yeah, because he doesn't know. He doesn't have any emotion whatsoever.
well,
Man.
I explain it a little bit
Talk
more
about friendship.
I explain a little bit more in detail. He just knows this guy's always been around, so it's familiar to him. It's like
Yeah.
something like you don't
Okay.
understand you think you're supposed to be friends with them, but you don't know, like you just don't feel anything towards them. The guy's over all the time, so you end up knowing a little bit more about him. You're just familiar with them. And about 10 years later, they end up like disconnecting after all this long time. The one kid that's like a killer becomes a cop. And he starts going to all these calls and everything in the middle of the night. There's like a highway accident where a dude was drunk driving and killed a woman. And he shows up on the scene and the woman's like dying, basically like stuck to a tree or something. And he just goes down, shoots her right in the head, then says like there's two bodies or whatever, like puts her out of her misery because that's what he sees as right. Like his
Yeah.
brain, the wires are crossed. And it
Uh-huh.
goes into this deep, long tangent of it. I won't explain it all, but I thought it was like a pretty interesting twist of an idea.
That's pretty good, man. You should pitch it to M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan. Now it's
See
got
what
a
he does
twist
with it.
ending, but he's like, I can do better. I'm like, all right.
I don't know. I reckon he could do something good with that. I reckon. We've just I've just shot so this is quite slightly different, but I've just done so for the hot sauce. This is how far I'm kind of taking this whole hot sauce idea. Is a friend of mine, a guy called Trevor, is a lifelong buddy. He used to date my sister, so he owed me a favor, and he's got his own company called Creative Capture Media, and they I don't know have you heard of Tough and Mudder? Do you guys do something over there called? I don't know if I think it might only be in the UK. It's basically like a bit like an Iron Man thing, or like a
Oh, Spartan Race?
something like that. Yeah,
Tough Muddin'.
something like that. Basically, he's got his company's got a contract to kind of do all their promotional stuff, and he flies out to the States quite a lot. He does a lot of NFL stuff. Anyway, so he basically said to me, "Why don't we make a video, like a commercial video for your hot sauces?" So we've done it in the style of a horror movie trailer. So we've kind of picked, and I've never made anything. I've never made a movie before. I've never done anything at all. So basically, it was almost kind of like so we took all the, for example, we took like the Exorcist one, and we did, and I think actually I used all of them. We used a Nightmare on Elm Street one. We basically used all the different sources that I've got, and we just did like a real kind of short, like 20-second skit for each one. So, for example, you've got the Nightmare on Elm Street in the scene where she's in the bath and she falls asleep, and a hand comes out with a glove in between her legs in the bath. I don't know if you remember that scene or if you've seen that scene. Also, the one in The Exorcist where she's lying in the bed and she's kind of flipping around and she throws up over the priest. She pukes up over the priest in The Exorcist. So we kind of took all these little scenes, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they pick up the hitchhiker. We basically we did like a comedy version of each of these, but used hot sauce as the kind of the main.
That's a good marketing aspect too, because a lot of what you don't really see is people like are attracted to advertisements and commercials. You can have a fancy label or fancy thing on your bottle or a cool name to it, but if you have like a video or an insert you can plug into your Instagram or something, next thing you know, people are going to be like, "Holy crap, this is awesome!" Or "What is this?" And they click
It just
into it.
takes it to the next level, and it kind of I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's only hot sauce at the end of the day, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's sort of becoming more than that now. It's just, it's just.
You should do a twist on Rob Zombie's hot sauce. Call it House of a Thousand Sauces.
I've got, dude, that one is already listed down. I've got the House of a Thousand Sauces, and I was trying to think of one for the Devil's Rejects or the Devil's Rejects with the Reaper. But I mean, I don't know if that sounds a bit shit, because we met. Let me show you this. Oh shit! Hold on. This is the Texas Chain Sauce. It's a bottle of the Texas Chain Sauce, and we.
Does
got
it taste
signed.
like getting murdered? Because I always like creating. I've created probably 4 or 5 hot sauces that are down the line.
Yeah, man, it does taste. This one's not too bad. This one's like a barbecue. This one's like a barbecue and chipotle flavor. So it's not too bad. This one's only 2 chilies.
I
It's not
want to
too
see
bad.
somebody create a smoked hot sauce with like infusing pineapples or infusing like a blueberry to it, like adding a little bit of like flavor to it. Because like
Oh, this is my friend. You're gonna love this. So basically, all of mine are made with fresh fruit. So, for example, sauce is the mildest one. That's made with apple. This one here is made with fresh cherries and chipotle. The Nagama on Elm Street one, this is the only one I've got lying around. The Nagama on Elm Street one is made with pineapple, mango, and peach, all fresh fruit. The Parascovia was blueberries, the Jeepers Reapers is strawberries, and the Exorcist is pear and pineapple. So all made with fresh fruits.
What peppers do you typically use?
So I kind of have like a base chili. I use Scotch bonnets in everything. Apart from the sauce one is just jalapenos. It's just like a green color, just jalapenos. It's very mild. This one here is chipotle chilies and cherries. I put some bullet chilies in there as well, just to kind of flesh it out. Then from the sort of the Nagamare, the heat levels kind of go up. So that one is like Scotch bonnets from Nagas in Naga chili, and then I put some finger chilies in there. I kind of have like some kind of milder chilies just to kind of flesh it all out. And then obviously the Jeepers Reapers one's got like fresh strawberry, some Scotch bonnet, and then a shitload of Carolina Reapers in it.
You should try and create a sauce. And here's an idea, which I do for a lot of hot sauce people that come on. I always toss out one because I like thinking of random ideas. I'm too lazy to do it myself. But you can call it Heat Razor from Hellraiser, or you can call it The Hills Have Heat. I like that one too. But
so after this, so basically I've got six flavored sauces at the minute. I'm going into chili jam because everyone seems to be, all the conventions we go to and all the conventions we trade at, everyone's asking, what about jam? We love chili jam. We love just be able to sit there with some cheese and some crackers and just, sort of go at a chili jam.
Change it up. You don't want to have to dump hot sauce and some saltines. You want a nice jam to spread around in.
Yeah. So I've developed the first one, which is pineapple and Scotch bonnet. It's called Night of the Living Spread.
I want to laugh because that's a beautiful name.
And I've got another 5 waiting to go, but I don't want to let
walking spread. Come on now.
That's a good one. Yeah. Night of the Living Spread, Dawn of the Spread, Day of the Spread. There's loads you could do with spread. But I've got others. I've got some other ones, but I don't know if I want to kind of let the cat out of the bag. I want to keep them a secret.
Well, what I was thinking of an idea for one is, have you ever tried infusing maybe a spread or a hot sauce by using blackberries and cranberries, kind of like an even mixture of the flow of both of them, so it comes out with like a dark color to it, then adding a strong burst of cherry as well.
Nice, man. That'd be good.
Adding a bit of heat to it, and I think that one should be called The Hills Have Heat.
Hills Have Heat. Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's good. I've got a couple of different sauces that I want to do. Maybe it's like limited edition sauces. I haven't thought about the flavors yet. There's a bunch of fruit that I haven't used yet, but I've kind of got them lined up for the jams. So I've got like a mandarin jam I want to do. I've got pink grapefruit jam, obviously a cranberry, a raspberry. I haven't used these. So I'm trying to do everything with fresh fruit. So like you say, with the flavor aspect. So,
Well, for capitalizing on most of the audience, you're going to have your chili heads. You're going to have the people in the hot sauce community that want to experience the heat. They want to feel the Scovilles through their blood. But at the same time, if you're trying to make a product that you're trying to sell to an audience, you're going to want to go on the flavor aspect of things and maybe add a little bit of heat, but something that more people are going to love the taste for it.
Well, we kind of started out. So when I started out with this idea, obviously I went to a chili festival. And at chili festivals, you do have them kind of people. They want the hot stuff. But because of the horror theme, I kind of went straight into doing conventions, like comic conventions, because there's no other traders there that do that kind of thing. So they welcome me with open arms. They're like, this is completely new. This is completely different. I remember we did one in Sheffield over here. It was a horror con. And I remember setting up and I remember thinking, what the fuck am I doing here, man? Like hot sauce, like everyone's probably looking at me thinking, who's the hot sauce guy? Why is he here? Well, obviously, because once they saw the names and they saw I've literally gone on to do loads of conventions and every one of them has been a success and the convention size has got bigger. We did the London Film and Comic Con at Olympia and we literally just sold out. People were they dug the idea so much. So yeah, I think it's a winner. So I've just kind of, and then we started meeting. So I met Robert England at one of the conventions and I showed him and he was like, this is a great idea. And I got some pictures of him. If you go on the website, there's some cool pictures in the gallery of like just but I haven't actually done any food-based events. I've just done comic conventions. So
All right. I know you see my face and how I'm kind of like puckered up right now, but I just thought of another really good hot sauce movie name.
go for it.
So instead of Krampmas, call it Cramp Miss. Like
Crapmas.
cramps, like cramps.
Oh, Krampmas. That's a good. I'm writing that down.
I'm telling you, like it's just fun thinking of like ideas for names of like I always love the ideas of hot sauces and shit because like
Got a sheet here. I'm making notes as we go.
do it, dude. I love thinking of this stuff. I love the creative aspect behind like making something because it's just fun to throw out like a bunch of things and then one day like get to see it on a label would be pretty sick. I mean,
Yeah.
you especially with movies too, you have a whole wide horror variety that you can be doing, especially when it comes to video and advertising for your stuff too. Like that's a market a lot of people in the hot sauce industry don't really capitalize on. They just capitalize on like a cool label, which is good. It's good for attention, but nobody makes certain videos for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm trying to do something different. And I've got so many ideas, man. I want to kind of build this whole universe around it, really. So, I've got the sauces and then I'm gonna go for the jams. I'm just getting into I want to get some cool t-shirts designed. So I'm kind of approaching all tattoo artists that I like, the work, whose work that I like, and asking them to design a Dean of the Dead, t-shirt design and kind of have like a range of t-shirts that are designed by, tattoo artists with their kind of their vibe on it. And then I want to kind of move into making, keeping with the horror theme. There, maybe move into like making some craft beer, some craft ale. So you've got like your hot sauce and your beer, and you've got your jam. Okay, just a kind of like a bit of a brand.
Yeah,
But
expand it out rather than just socialize it on one thing. I mean, when people make
exactly,
a hot sauce or if they grow peppers, they stick on that same thing over and over
yeah,
again, kind of like put all into one product. But you can capitalize more of an audience and bring them together to associate with both products. I mean, I was
yeah,
talking to a guy that has been trying, like I tossed him out an idea to kind of work with an artist or a musician that's one of his friends, and on their front album cover incorporate a piece of their hot sauce, like their logo, as hidden. So people are like, what's that hidden thing right there? And then they click on it and research it's about hot sauce. And the
yeah,
next thing you know, you find out there's a company that sells it and you buy it to put with your album.
yeah, yeah. True, man. Like a little Easter egg kind of thing, like a little,
Exactly. People want to
yeah,
feel like they're into a secret, like a secret menu item. That's the whole reason why those things are popular because, besides going to Taco Bell and figuring out they have like a quesarito crunch wrap supreme with chili
yeah.
fries on it, you can go to Taco Bell and get the sauce packets. And the sauce packets tell a little joke like you're beautiful on it or something.
We did this with the video that we shot. We kind of, so my girlfriend, she's a nanny, and she looks after these two girls. And we used a bunch of friends for the video. But she was like, "Oh, the two girls really want to be in the video." So I was like, "All right, cool." So we tried to write my little part. So one of them plays Reagan from The Exorcist. Her parents were thrilled with that. And then we were trying to find a part for the other little girl, and we basically used her as like this. She's like a little ghost girl, I guess, if you will. And then she's basically we just kind of dotted her around. So the whole video goes on for about 4 minutes. It's still in production. We're still kind of we've shot it all. We're just editing it and putting some music to it at the minute. It's going to look fucking great. It's going to look really good. But we basically we've kind of sort of dotted her around in various different scenes, and we were going to kind of run a competition. So she literally just flashes up like a little Easter egg. It's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. But it looks great. It looks great. I'll try and off when we finish this, I'll try and send you like a little idea, a clip of.
We're going to be shooting ideas back and forth because I feel like this is, yeah, I already have like another like 5 things you can do. I don't know if you said anything about like House of Horror. Did you say you had a sauce on that one? I was going to call it House of Heat.
House of Heat. No, no. I haven't got anything for that. House of Heat's good. I like the Hills Have Heat. I've got. I'm loving Krampus is a good one for a Christmas sauce. That's a good. That's it, and cranberry as well because cranberry's like a
Exactly. Cranberry's a Christmas
seasonal
thing.
fruit. That's a definitely. That would be a good Christmas. I'll try. I tell you what. Actually, I'll tell you where you can probably help. I'm looking for like a Valentine's Day. So, because like every occasion, I'm trying to bring one out, an Easter sauce of Halloween. I mean, Halloween is just horror in itself. So, for like that'd be a good Christmas sauce. I'm looking for a good one for Valentine's Day.
It's
So you've got
crazy
like
because for Valentine's Day, all you got to think of is like, what's the common ones that first come to your minds, like Friday the 13th, and then like, what are you gonna call it?
My
Friday?
Bloody Valentine. You
It's like
know,
Yeah, but like Friday the 13th Scoville, it's like, what is that? I don't know. This is not too catchy when it comes to some
Well,
of
this is it. We actually met. We talked about that Rob Zombie Halloween, and I actually met that Scout Taylor Compton, who plays Laurie Strode in that film, in the Rob Zombie version. So she was at the convention that we were at Sheffield, and she was walking around all the traders, all the vendors, and she came up to the stall and she bought a couple of them, and she was like, "Where's the Halloween sauce?" And we were like, I can't, and I said, I can't think of a decent name for a Halloween. I'd love to have a Friday the 13th one. I'd love to have a Child's Play one and a Halloween one, but I can't think of a good play on words that sounds good enough. You know, like I think the nearest we came to a Halloween was Habaween, you know, with a habanero and Halloween, but that just sounds shit. Habaween sounds crap. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre just sounds cool.
it's hard
Habaween sounds
because
a bit naff.
it's hard because the way that the words work, when you're especially talking about pepper, heat, Scoville, you have to really go into your vocabulary and kind of like look through the dictionary a little bit to be able to find one
Yeah,
that would go with
yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Pull out the thesaurus, everything. I kind of write. So I write a list of different chilies. I write a list of different, you know, emotions that you get when you eat hot thing, like burn, scorch, you know, just all these different words that you can kind of mix. It's really good fun actually, you know, especially when you've had a few beers, you know, you just sit around with your friends, just brainstorming different words and plucking them out the air.
Well,
And then
there's
every
like
now and again,
there's the two movies, what, Haunted House, and then you got Haunted Mansion. I mean, for Haunted Mansion, you just call it Haunted Mouth Burn, and people are like, "What?" And then you just have a picture of a mansion on the front. Or if you say,
so I'll give you an example. So this is one that this is like a limited edition one that I haven't developed yet, but I've got the name sitting there, and I haven't used this particular chili, and I haven't used this particular movie. So I have American Werewolf in London, which I thought was great, man. Using the
American Wolf, what is it?
So the film is American Werewolf in London,
Yeah,
obviously, and then the pepper would be the cayenne pepper, cayenne, American
Cayenne,
Werewolf
Cayenne.
in
Yeah.
London. Cayenne, that would be, is that how you guys say it? American Werewolf in London. I thought that was pretty cool. That was good. You know, using the cayenne pepper,
Yeah, incorporating it into the name too. Yeah, that's a good one to be able to
stuff like
figure
that,
out.
like the Naga mare on Elm Street, using the Naga chili.
That's a very good one. I'm trying to think of like pepper names that would be good, but you would have to include that pepper into that sauce though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's fine.
But that conflicts with some flavor profiles. If you're gonna do like a ghost pepper, you definitely don't want to put blueberry in there. That's gonna throw the whole flavor profile completely off.
Kind of works because that's what the blueberry and the ghost pepper. That's what we use in the Paris Scoville, and it works, man. Bit of cinnamon in there.
So you said tossed out cinnamon. I can't do cinnamon.
Ah, okay. But yeah,
That's
no, it works, man. It works.
I had a bad experience with Fireball, and yeah,
Is
when I
that is that the drink?
yeah, when I smell cinnamon, I just immediately think of someone's got Fireball, and my grandma's like, "That's fucking cinnamon, you drinker." I'm like, "I don't drink, but I know what that smell is, and it's Fireball."
We got a thing over here called aftershock, which is the same sort of thing basically. And I had a bad experience with that once. It's pure red. It's red. It just looks like the devil's piss. And I had a good few shots of that, and it comes out looking exactly the same as it goes in. It's just like red to the nastiness. It's horrible. I had
Dude, Pet Cemetery, Pepper Cemetery,
Pepper Cemetery.
or you could even say Peppered Cemetery. I don't know. I'm just freaking you're shooting off names. I'm trying to think of every horror film I've ever thought of. Like I'm thinking of The Mist. Everything is an M. Night Shyamalan flick, and you can't fucking twist around M. Night Shyamalan's. You can make a twist in the movie, but you can't make a twist on the name. Like if you think of The Mist, what are you gonna call it? Like I don't even know what would be good for a freaking name for that one.
If you can come up with a Friday the 13th or a Halloween or a Child's Play, I'd be happy. But I can't. They're
Why don't you for Child's Play just called Chili Play
yeah.
or Child's Pepper, and then it's like a freaking like a deformed pepper, like we are talking about the dude in the Scary Movie 2 with the messed up hand. Just have like a little crumbled up.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you could do the bride, like you got the Bride of Chucky. You could do call, you know, work the Bride of Chili or something. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, some of them you say them or you come across them and you think, yeah, that's it. It's like a lyric. You think, no, that doesn't really fit.
Got to go in the store and
We
start
need
looking
Eminem.
around for
We need to
inspiration.
wheel Eminem in.
Yeah, we need to bring. I'll message Marshall Mathers.
Yeah,
Get him in here.
that's it, man. Give him a shout and tell him we got some chilly names to come up with.
Just tweet at him. Apparently, people answer tweets.
Oh, really?
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
Trump does, so I'm going by what that standard is.
Does he actually? Does Trump actually answer?
He will tweet your ass off. If you tweet he sucks, he will tweet you right back.
Really?
He just
Really?
scopes the internet for people talking trash. It's a good way to be president, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't talk trash on Trump. He's an okay guy. His hair's nice.
I don't follow politics at all. I've got literally no. I don't. What it's
Neither do I, but I did think he was a bit of a jerk for not pointing Macaulay Culkin to the actual desk in Home Alone. He just pointed. I was like, come on, walk the kid there. He's a child in New York City.
Help him out.
Well, I really appreciate you, Dean, for coming out and doing the podcast. I want to give you here a minute at the end to be able to promote your sauce, promote all your links to where people can find your content, and maybe purchase about.
Yeah, man. Well, look, thank you so much for having me on here. You can check them out at, I have to write this down because it's still quite early here as well. Actually, no, it's 12:30 in the afternoon. But I'm a couple of beers in because there's fuck all else to do. Deanofthedead.com, deanofthedead.com. Pretty easy to remember. That's the website. If you want to check out the Instagram, Facebook, it is Dean of the Dead 666. Number of the beast. That's for my socials. I'm not actually on Twitter. I really need to get on Twitter, but I can
You
just
don't
about.
have to. I'm barely on it. I just have the handle for it, but it's a dumpster fire. It's just people retweeting
Just
and
another
posting.
thing. I'm kind of on my phone all the time, like I'm not tweeting, kind of messaging. I'm just thinking to find another one. My fucking thumbs would fall off.
I'll make sure to post your website in there so people can find your awesome content.
Thanks, man. But yeah, Dean of the Dead 666, that's the Facebook and the Instagram. Deanofthedead.com is the website. And then I've kind of started out putting some videos on YouTube as well. So Dean of the Dead TV. There's only a few on there at the minute. It's just basically us at conventions running around, just having fun, meeting people. But yeah, check it out, man.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode.